Ladies and gentlemen, creative people, this is Creativity is an Idea podcast, a source of creativity for creative people. And today, our entertaining guest, our creative entertaining guest, his name is Thousand Times.
What's up, Pyeric?
Yo, I'm doing good yourself, man.
I'm just happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
I appreciate it. So, Thousand Times is a music producer. He has been in music for 14 years now.
It's been quite a long time.
Was I born? I don't think so. Yeah, that's amazing. So, Thousand Times, I know you even had a guest here, Snapology. How do I pronounce it?
Yeah. Shout out to
was
Snap.
good. And you've been around in Charlotte for a while now, and you have a lot of followers on Instagram. And as always, people do love doers, and people want to see people who are doing, so they follow them to get inspired and entertained.
Yeah.
And that's why you're here. So, Snap. My bad, I just said Snap. Thousand times.
Yeah.
Thousand times. So tell me, man, who are you?
Yeah, man. First off, I'm just a guy who has a dream. At the age of 14, I started messing with beats. I was using what's it called, Magic Maker. It's a real simple music production software, and then it just grew from there. And I just kept doing it. And the people who started with me, because it was like three of us who started making beats, they stopped, and then I just kept going. And then little by little, I started finding artists to work with, and it's just something I love. There's nothing I would rather do than either making a beat or being in the studio recording an artist over one of my beats.
That's how you get your kicks.
That's how I get my kicks.
I know how that feels. It's more exciting,
Yeah.
Can sit here and talk all day. No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah. So, growing up, you said you started doing beats at the age of 14, right?
Yeah.
So tell me, Thousand Times. First off, how did you get your name Thousand Times?
That came to me after, I think I was like 5 or 6 years in. I was trying to come up with something catchy. Everybody has a name. So for me, I picked that name because I've done, probably produced over 1,000 beats at this point. They're just some are sitting on the hard drive, some are placed with artists. But and also in addition to that, just it seems like there's no overnight success. You really have to put in the effort, and for me, it seems like it was 1,000 times of putting in the effort, doing things I didn't want to do. Yeah.
Wow, so that's how you came up with the name
that came
Thousand Times. That is amazing. It has a really huge meaning behind it. So before I did not derail, but before I went off to that question, let me ask you, how was your childhood like, man?
Yeah. Oh, childhood was great, man. Shout out to my parents, Ernestine and Matthew, holding it down.
What's up, parents? How y'all doing?
What's up, Mom? But no, I gotta say, childhood was awesome. Middle class upbringing in Jersey, the suburbs. So New York was like 40 minutes away. But then after 9/11 happened, I guess my parents they wanted something different. A little buffer zone. So we moved down to Charlotte, and that's when I started to go to college, Queens University in the house. Studied political science there and graduated in 2011, probably showing my age, starting to get up there now. But yeah, man, childhood was good and definitely molded me to have an upbringing with music because my parents were lovers of music. They're from a little island called Trinidad, and there's a big musical influence there. And yeah, they loved the soul music. They loved like jazz, and then they definitely instilled a love for music in me.
They injected the love of music in him. That is excellent, man. So, growing up in a place that is 40 minutes away from New York, coming to Charlotte after 9/11. So tell me, John, Thousand Times, tell me, what event, good or bad, wouldn't you forget?
That's a good question. You just mean in general? Just
in
in
general,
life?
just blow our brains
Ooh.
out.
A bad event that I felt like that I turned into a good event was actually my divorce, believe it or not.
Ooh.
Yeah, if you want to get juicy with it.
Ooh. Let's get into it.
On the surface, a divorce is nothing but bad things. It's expensive, it's heartbreaking. There's a lot of disappointment from parents and from family, but it freed me up to be able to do the music in the way that I wanted to and with the intensity that I wanted to, because now it was just me. I didn't have to focus on another person. And while that many people would look at that as being somewhat selfish, I'm happier now than I ever been because I'm living in my passion, living in my dream.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, with what you're saying, if that was it a good event or a bad event, or is it something you wouldn't forget?
Oh man, I would categorize that as a bad event that I turned into a good event.
Okay. They gave you lemon, and you made
Lemonade. Yeah.
you added too much sugar this time. You're liking it. So let me ask you. I just want to like drill a little bit deep into what you just said.
Okay.
You are saying now you feel happier. You have time for what you're doing. So no names dropping, but what was the case? Was it because the person, your partner, wasn't really down with you with what you were doing and wanted you to, get a job, go to school, or do something with your life? What was it?
Yeah, no, that's a good part of it. Definitely. A lot of people, when they see you trying to do something abstract like being in the arts or being a music producer, there's temptation to want the success to come right away, and where's the monetary success from all your effort?
You've been doing this for how many years now?
A long time.
Yeah.
Yep. But that, and also maybe at the time I was so young, I was like 24, to be a husband to somebody. Maybe that wasn't the right path for me, Maybe I just wasn't ready at the time. And looking back on it now, 6 years later, in retrospect, I can see where I might have messed up, but I've also grown and learned from the experience, as we all should, from our own experiences.
How long did you guys get married for?
We were married for 2 years, 2 wonderful years down in Georgia. Yeah. Nothing else to say on that.
Someone was in love.
I was.
Wow.
Oh, but good point that you bring up. Not to cut you off, but good to love and live and learn, and it's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all.
Mm-hmm.
And now I don't have that urge to necessarily rush into another relationship. I'm totally happy to just be focusing on the music.
Yeah. I feel you on that. Yeah. So, 1,000 times, let me ask you. Let me ask you this. You decided to do music. Some odds were against you. So, at what age or how or when did you decide to do music?
Yeah, great. That's a great question with a lot of nuance there, Pyeric, because you're right. I did start making beats at 14, but it's a huge jump to go from making beats in your house to wanting to produce artists, and that took maybe about another 10 years before I was confident enough in my beats to even approach an artist and be like, hey, do you want to get on this? And then probably another 5 years, which probably brings us up to now, where there's just so many there's just so many moving parts to putting together a record. It's not there's a lot that you need to do, and there's a lot of effort that goes into it, and a lot of collaborating and putting the dots together. Not to make it sound like I'm doing brain surgery here, but it is complicated. And so that was the time frame. Basically, it was 10 years of just learning the craft, learning music theory, learning how to do music well, to something that people want to listen to, and then another 5 years of just figuring out how to maneuver in this music industry where there's thousands upon thousands of artists and God knows how many songs made every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
How many songs people are dreaming of every day.
Oh.
Come compared to the ones that are being made.
Yes.
Wow, 10 years.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking I want to do it in 6 months.
Okay. You probably could.
That's crazy. Just kidding.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So, you started music, right? I believe there got to a time you realized certain things were holding you back, which probably it was your marriage. Somehow, it was your marriage. So, let me ask you, what were some of the things that were holding you back, and what did you do to let them go?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I will say I was never a crazy, partier out there in the streets or anything, but definitely becoming more focused. Every day there's something that we can all do to push forward our goals, and just being more disciplined. What else? That's really about it, man. Yeah.
And that is, let me bring this in. Let me create
Yeah.
this analogy. There is this Newton's law. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
you have more to say about that when I put it this way to you.
Mm.
This Newton's law, it says, I'm paraphrasing. In order for you to go up, you have to let certain things down. So, what did you have to let go
Mm-hmm.
before you saw progress?
Yeah. Let me think about that. Probably I would have to say I had to let go. Being maybe somewhat of a perfectionist because especially in music, especially working with artists who are very sensitive about their material and their artistic talent, and a lot of them have egos. And I actually almost think that to be a great artist, you got to have this overinflated self worth and feeling of self because you got to feel like you're bigger than the world. You're an artist. But that's just me. But I personally don't think I have a huge ego. I feel like I'm pretty humble. But anyway, I'm off topic. But I guess I would say Pyeric, I had to let go wanting to control so much and more just put people in a room to do what they do best. Put an artist in the studio, let them be creative. Don't necessarily dictate to them how to make the track that they want to make, and just let them go at it. So I'd say I had to let go of being more. I had to let go of being such a control freak.
When you added the freak, I knew, you were a freak about being controlled.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay, I think. Come to think about it, just to bring something in, I was listening to this artist track, and in my head, I'm like, oh gosh, what do I tell him? How do I approach him? Because I feel he could do better, and the music and his tracks it feels dry.
Okay.
Like there's nothing unique about it. It's just a bunch of words. It feels dry, and he has invested time in it.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, and anyway, let them be creative. Anyway, so
Yeah.
good you had to let go being control freak and being a perfectionist.
Yeah. That's a good thing.
I don't think I can let go of a perfectionist. Yeah, that's excellent. So let me ask you, and then we will talk. When I ask you this question, we'll talk about what you got going on, anything you got coming up.
Okay.
So, 1,000 times,
Yes, sir.
what do you do differently? What did you have to do differently? And what do you do day in, day out to see progress?
That's a great question. Day in and day out, my strategy, I would say, is to at least make one beat a day. I wake up in the morning. That's probably the first thing I'm gonna do, even if it's a work day. I'll try to do that before I head out to my 9 to 5. Was there a part of that question?
So, day in, day out, you make sure you do beats every day.
Yeah.
And what, coming up in this music,
Mm-hmm.
producing thing, what did you have to do differently
Okay.
to see progress?
Yeah. I would say Pyeric, probably the intensity. I definitely noticed that when I stopped doing it as like a hobby, as, oh, I make beats once in a while and, oh, you want to listen to my stuff, to just an intensity where that's what I'm thinking about from the moment I wake up to the moment I'm going to sleep. Even when I'm at work, 9 to 5, I'm still thinking music, what I can do. Oh man, I have an interview coming up. Oh man, I'm about to see Pyeric. Oh man. So that's it. Probably I would say almost 95% of my mind is focused on how to advance my music career, while a lot of other people, probably that's not the case.
So you had to increase the intensity
Yeah.
of your music.
Yes, sir.
Because to piggyback on it, a wishy-washy thing
Yeah.
never gets done,
It's true.
So it's good you had to increase the momentum. Let's go, let's do it.
Yeah.
That's excellent. You know what? Let me ask you this before we talk about what you got going on. So, folks, I want you all to stay tuned. This is 1,000 times. He is about to share with you what he has going on. And even if you are not able to have access to it now, and you're listening to this audio, this podcast, let's say in 2019, click on the link, look him up, and you'll find out where he is going and what he has been up to.
Yeah.
So, before we do that, let me ask you, what 3 helpful tips would you like to give about music producing?
Yeah. That's a great Question, Pyric? I would say probably for an up and coming music producer, you
Mm-hmm.
want to invest in good software and good hardware. Don't underestimate how far you can get with a simple setup, but having quality things attached to it. Like I would say, get a solid computer with some good studio monitors, a little, a little console,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe some good studio headphones, and you should be good to go. And then you can send out your material to be mixed and mastered the proper way. So I would say that's number one: have
Mm-hmm.
good software, good equipment. Number two, invest in learning music theory to a degree that you know what you're doing. I see, I hear so much music day in and day out where it's not, it's not musically sound. It's not, and that's not saying anything. There's a every music is such a creative thing, and music is such a is like I can't tell you what you like, and you can't tell me what I like, but we can all agree that there's certain check marks that need to be in a song for it to be a viable song. Otherwise, it's just noise. Number two. So, and then number three, you got to stick with it, and that's with anything. You can literally do anything you want to do, but you got to put the time in,
Mm-hmm.
and the time and energy. And when our lives are so fragmented, when you have a million things you can focus on, or you can just focus on Instagram, or you could just focus on Facebook, it's hard to just focus on advancing this one thing, especially when you don't have a support system, which I do, thank God.
Wow, that is good. So that was a good what did you say? A good three tips. That was good. So anybody out there listening, and also now come to think about life in general. You've been around the block as you were saying a while
Ah,
now. So what in general three tips, helpful tips would you like to give? Like marry a nice lady and divorce her after a while. No, no, just kidding.
sheesh. So three life tips. Okay,
Uh,
so those are the three music tips. Three life tips I would say is be an honest person. That should be number one on your list.
mhm.
Number two, a life thing that you can live by. Be disciplined. I think I said that already, but that's something you can live by. Oh, and read a lot. So those are my three: discipline, read a lot. There's so much knowledge in books, and whatever I said for the first one, Pyre.
Okay. What was it? Be honest,
Yes, that was the first one. Be honest.
discipline,
Mm-hmm.
and
And read a lot.
open books, and flip through the pages.
Be educatable, a lifelong learner.
Yeah, take a magazine and look through the pictures.
Yes,
Anyway, just kidding.
yes,
That was
yes.
good 1,000 times. So
Hmm.
at this point, 1,000 times,
Hmm.
what do you have going on?
Man, I am just so blessed, Pyric, to be so busy these days. I'll tell you, I got currently working with an artist who
Mhm.
you met last time,
Yeah.
Snap. We're in the middle of her run. She has a music video coming out in September. And then we have about like three or four more artists that we're gonna try to produce before the end of the year.
Hmm.
Just and then hmm, and then pretty much just in 2019, I'm gonna shift my focus a little bit and focus a little more on visual arts. I know so many great artists in the city
Hmm.
that I would love to start producing galleries or doing like art galleries, having like events. Like I see you're an art lover. I'm sure you would enjoy the vibe that we're putting out.
Hmm.
And in October, I partnered up with Snap and Queen of Colors, and we're going to be doing a fashion show. So a
Mm.
lot of exciting things coming up, and hopefully you'll be there for all of them.
Lord, let me stay alive for this moment.
Yes.
Yeah, that is excellent. So
Yeah.
that is good. Good.
Hmm.
I like to talk more about the gallery thing, but I think I'll push it to 2019,
Yeah.
and then
You bring me
you'll
back
be
a third
yeah.
time.
You bring it back the third
Man.
time, and you
I don't
talk
know
about
who's
the
still
art.
watching this. Y'all saw me last week, but here we are again.
The last time he wasn't the main guest. He
Mm.
was a music producer for the main guest called Snap.
Okay. Okay.
So just to clarify
Yeah,
that.
we're just straightening it out.
Yeah. So that is good. So how do you get your source of creativity?
Huh, man. I will say that at this point, Pyric, it's. I feel like the more you do something, the more easier it comes to you. The easier it comes to you. So, I guess if you work at being creative, it'll just it'll come to you more easily. I
Mm-hmm.
won't say that I ever have any, that I don't ever have dry spells. I do, but but for the most part, I can sit down, make a beat pretty easily,
Uh-huh.
and it will be catchy. And then now I find an artist who I can place that beat with, let them run with it,
Mm-hmm.
and the process starts all over again. So that's it.
Wow. So the more you do it, the easier it comes to you.
Sure. Yeah. Look at your podcast. You could do this with your eyes closed, right?
No kidding.
Yeah.
Even when I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
Nah, just kidding. Hey, it took me a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the more you do it, the easier it comes to you. That sounds like a no-brainer, but it's hard to
Alright.
be consistent
Yes.
with things.
Yes. Consistency.
Yeah. Because I remember, to piggyback on what you're saying, just for the audience, I remember when I started the podcast, though it hasn't been long. This is gonna be the 19th episode.
Wow.
Yours will be the 19th episode. So my bad. The 21st episode.
21st.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 21st episode.
Wow.
When I started, I was still reading the questions. I'll
Okay.
have it with me, and I'll be looking at it, and I'll be showing it in the camera, like, yo, look at it. I'm still looking.
Yeah.
I'll be drawing blanks here and there.
Yeah.
And one of the guests was like, you'll get good at it,
Yeah.
with time.
Of course.
And he was right, and I knew it was going to happen as long as
Mhm.
you keep doing it.
Of course.
And
now look at you. You're so relaxed. You got wonderful lighting. You got bottled water for the
hey,
gas.
you
Look at
didn't
this
even
guy.
open that. Hey, take a sip.
Yeah. Mm.
So that is excellent. Thanks for. Hey, do we do some promotional
Yep.
ad here?
Shout out to natural spring water. 'Cause I drink it.
Yeah. So 1,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good way to have a source of creativity.
Yeah.
And at this point, we are about to have some fun. We are about to have a personal, private, behind closed doors
Oh.
conversation. We're about to gossip.
Oh, okay.
So, 1,000 times, anything out there, any public figure, any public issue,
Mm-hmm.
anything you want to address, you want to compliment, you want to vent at, you want to whine about, you want to bitch about, you want to
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah.
let it flow.
Whew, man. I will say, Pyeric, unlike most of your guests, I am pretty focused on what I got going on, maybe to my detriment. I should probably look outward more. But I will say, in the Charlotte scene, I'm very happy to see how many artists are just coming together and working together. Not just artists, podcasts too. It just seems like everybody at this point is very receptive to networking and working together. So that's an awesome thing.
We are about to wrap up, but I want to ask you, what do you wish you had known
Yeah,
when you were starting?
that's a great question. I'll tell you what I'm glad that I didn't know. How about I
You
start
didn't
there?
know.
I am
Interesting.
so thankful that I didn't know, Pyeric, how long, how expensive, how many twists and turns this music career would take before I started to see a return. That would have totally discouraged me. Like, if I knew that it would be such a grueling process, as it should be, because otherwise everybody would be doing this and there'd be no value to being a successful professional artist. But still, if I had known that, I probably would not have done it. I'll tell you what I wish I would have known is that you don't need a million songs, Pyeric, and you don't need a million videos. You should focus on being so amazing at what you do that when you do drop a piece of art, it's awesome. And you're in all the major blogs just on the value of that art alone. That's just my 2 cents. Focus on your craft. That's what I would say.
I see you have what is this? What is this on your shirt?
Hey,
Bread to win. What is that?
Bread to win. This is that new Witty Misfits joint. Shout out to DJ. He has the best clothing line in town. And then also shout out to Gold Supply Online, my sponsor, who's giving everybody 10% off when you use my promo code TT20.
Oh,
Yeah, so definitely check it out, bro.
what does it say again?
Yeah, bread to win.
Bread to win. All right, that is excellent. That is excellent. Wow. So, tell them, how can they find you?
You can find me by Googling 1,000 times music producer, and something will definitely come up. Or on Instagram at _1,000 times _, and that'll bring up my profile.
Yeah. So that was 1,000 times. So creative people, if you're listening to this, I want to encourage you to share this with all your friends who are creative or anybody you know who wants to be entertained and inspired. Because I believe whatever 1,000 times said, at least a line or two would make sense to you, would resonate with you for you to, you know, keep doing what you're doing. And as always, I was your host, Pyeric. And today's guest is, or was, 1,000 times a music producer.
Thank you,
based in
Pyeric.
Charlotte.
Thank you, Pyeric, for having
It's a
me.
pleasure, man. I
All
really
right.
appreciate it, man.
All right. Bye, y'all.
And as always, don't fuck up. But when you do fuck up, make sure you fuck up real good so that you can help others. Meaning you learn from your mistake and also fuck up in a good way.
Okay.
Yeah. So